ठीक। हेलो हेलो ठीक। हेलो चेक ठीक। हेलो चेक। हेलो।
फुल फ्लैट। ठीक है, ये मेरा फ़ोन हटा दो यहाँ से।
अंदर रख दूँ?
अंदर रख दो या बाद में ले लूँगी? हाँ,
हाँ अंदर रख दूँ इसको।
Good evening, everyone. I request Mr. Vikas Singh, President SCBA, and Mr. Rahul Kaushik, Vice President SCBA, to kindly escort Honorable Mr. Justice Bhushan Ramkrishna Gavai, Chief Justice of India, to the dais. I request Attorney General for India to come on the dais, sir. On behalf of the Supreme Court Bar Association, I extend a warm welcome to the Honorable Mr. Justice Bhushan Ramkrishna Gavai, Chief Justice of India, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court, and former judges. Mr. B.N. Agrawal is also here. Welcome, sir. And Attorney General for India, and distinguished senior advocates, respected members of the Bar, and students from Amity Law College. Before we begin, on behalf of the Supreme Court Bar Association, I would like to express our deepest condolences on the tragic blast in Delhi, which has taken innocent lives and caused injuries to many. It is a moment of great pride and emotion for all of us at the Supreme Court Bar Association as we gather to unveil the portraits of two legendary figures of our legal fraternity, SHRI late Narayan Sinha and late SHRI Shanti Bhushan ji. As we stand in memory of two stalwarts of our profession, these lines come to mind. If you must shine, shine like a lamp that shows the way, or like the sun that lights up the world. As we unveil this portrait today, we celebrate not only their achievements, but also their timeless ideal of honesty, humility, and service to justice. I request Honorable Mr. Justice Bhushan Ramkrishna Gavai, Chief and Justice of India, to kindly unveil the portrait of late SHRI Narayan Sinha, former Attorney General for India, for late SHRI Shanti Bhushan, Senior Advocate, former Law Minister. I request Mr. Jayant Bhushan, Senior Advocate, Mr. Prashant Bhushan, Advocate, to come to the dais. I also request Mr. Tushar, Ms. Amitya, and Pavanji to come to the dais, grandsons of Shanti, Shri Shanti Bhushan ji. And also request Ms. Rebecca ma'am to also come to the dais. I request Justice Vishwanathan sir, Justice Varali sir, Justice B.N. Agrawal sir to join on the dais. There is coming, sir. I request Ms. Rachna Gandhi, Executive Member SCBA, to come forward and present planter to Honorable Mr. Justice Bhushan Ramkrishna Gavai, Chief Justice of India.
अटॉर्नी को भी देंगे, अटॉर्नी को देंगे।
I request Ms. Shamta Pushkarna, Executive Member SCBA, to come forward and present planter to Attorney General for India. Shri Lal Narayan Sinha ji, a proud son of Bihar, made history as the first law officer from Bihar to hold the august office of Attorney General for India. His calm wisdom, humility, and strength of character made him a true role model for a generation of lawyers. It is also a moment of pride for our association that our president, Mr. Vikas Singh, Senior Advocate, was the second law officer from Bihar to have served as Additional Solicitor General of India. As we know, today is the birth anniversary of Shri Shanti Bhushan ji, who would have completed 100 years, was a man of rare conviction and courage, a visionary who used law as a tool for reform and justice. As a law minister of India, he left a lasting imprint on our legal system. I had the privilege of working with Shanti Bhushan ji in the teacher's case of Uttar Pradesh. Even at the age of 87 and 88-year-old, his mind was remarkably sharp, his memory crystal clear, and his command over the law extraordinary. He worked with the same energy, focus, and sense of justice as a young lawyer. Truly an inspiration for all of us. Both these stalwarts proved that a lawyer's greatest legacy is not the cases they win, but the values they stand for. It's my privilege to welcome you all to this SCBA lecture series. I request Mr. Rahul Kaushik, Vice President SCBA, to kindly deliver the welcome address on this occasion.
Honorable Mr. Justice B.R. Gavai, Chief Justice of India. Honorable Mr. Justice K.V. Vishnathan, Judge Supreme Court. Honorable Mr. Justice Prasanna Barale, Judge Supreme Court. Honorable Mr. Justice B.N. Agarwal, Retired Judge Supreme Court of India. Mr. K. Parasaran, who would be joining us virtually, former Attorney General for India. Mr. M.N. Venkatachalaya, former Chief Justice of India. Mr. Vikas Singh, President SCBA. Pragya Baghel, Secretary SCBA. Family members of late Shri Lal Narayan Sinha, former Attorney General for India, family members of late Shri Shanti Bhushan, Senior Advocate and former Law Minister, and members of the Bar. It gives me immense pleasure on behalf of the Supreme Court Bar Association to extend a warm welcome to all of you present here today. Today, as we gather here today for the lecture, two legends of the Bar, late Shri Lal Narayan Sinha and late Shri Shanti Bhushan, two giants of legal profession. They showed that a lawyer's first loyalty is to the court, not to the client, to justice, to the constitution, and not to power. Their lives remind us that titles do not define greatness, conduct does. They stood up at times when silence was easier. They carried themselves with dignity even when faced with hostility. They protected the rule of law not for applause, but because they believed that a democracy survives only when lawyers remain fearless. Late Shri Lal Narayan Sinha served first as Solicitor General and later as Attorney General for India from 1979 to 1983. He belonged to that rare generation of advocates whose presence in court commanded respect without raising a voice. His advocacy style was marked by clarity, discipline, and intellectual purity. He had the extraordinary ability to present complex constitutional propositions with brevity and precision. Judges trusted him not because he represented the government, but because he represented the law. He believed that the office of Attorney General is a constitutional duty, not a political alignment. It was said of him that his submissions did not seek to win at any cost, though they sought to assist the court in arriving at the correct conclusion. Even today, seniors of the bar recall that his arguments were calm but decisive, soft-spoken but persuasive, respectful yet unshakable in principle. That combination is the mark of true greatness. Now coming to late Shri Shanti Bhushan, who was a giant. In fact, today would have been his 100th birthday. One whose voice became a moral anchor of constitutional democracy. Born on 11th of November 1925 in Bhushan, Uttar Pradesh, He became one of the most prominent constitutional lawyers of his time. He achieved national recognition for his role in the Rajnarayan vs. Indira Gandhi case, one of the most important legal battles in Indian history. His appearance in that matter became a symbol of the principle that no individual, not even the most powerful, stands above the Constitution. He was the former Advocate General of State of UP. In fact, after the emergency, he served as Union Law Minister of India from 1977 to 1979 in the Morarji Desai government. As Law Minister, he was widely respected for supporting judicial independence and transparency. Even after leaving office, he continued his practice in the Supreme Court with unwavering commitment to public interest. He passed away on 31st January 2023, leaving behind a legacy built on fearlessness and constitutional morality. He remained active and vocal until the very last phase of his life, an example of lifelong service to justice. His two sons, both are prominent lawyers in Supreme Court now, Mr. Prashant Bhushan and Mr. Jayant Bhushan, who is a senior advocate. Both his grandson, Tushar Amartya, are also now practicing in this court. Late Shri Lal Narayan Sinha and late Shri Shanti Bhushan may no longer stand with us in these courtrooms, but their contribution will continue to speak for decades. Their portraits will remind every lawyer who sees them that the true power of advocacy lies not in dominating another voice, but in convincing the court with reason and integrity. On behalf of the Supreme Court Bar Association, it is my privilege to salute their memory, honor their lives, and reaffirm our commitment to the values they upheld. May their legacy guide us, may their courage inspire us, and may their presence on these walls remind every generation that justice survives only when lawyers defend it not with fear but with dignity. Thank you.
I am bringing a little surprise to our Attorney General for India. Can I request you, sir, to say a few words, sir?
It's with a humble feeling that I stand here today. Every morning when I walk into my chamber, I look at the photographs which adorn my chamber as former Attorney Generals. And Lal Narayan Sinha figures there, among many others whom I worked very closely with. While I was in the chambers of Mr. P.P. Rao, I had briefed Mr. Lal Narayan Sinha while he was Attorney General, both in my own individual capacity and as briefing along with Mr. Rao. And we have one great personality like him, diminutive in size, but strong in every sense of the term. And the dignity he brought to the office of the Attorney General is still fresh in my mind. Therefore, when I walk into the chamber, I look at all those photographs and said, what am I going to do today for ensuring rule of law? And that's a great feeling today I carry when these two great giants are, remembered today. And I think we need to remember them for more than one reason. Like I briefed Lal Narayan Sinha, Lal Baba as he was fondly called. I briefed Ms. Shanti Bhushan a number of times. My memories are so green and fresh, and the experience I gained from briefing him is all part of many of us who briefed him. But beyond this personal experience, I think it's important for us to remember that when such people walk into the legal fraternity and make the world different before they were there and after they leave. And important, they make the world different when they are there. And I think every one of us who become members of the legal profession have that commitment to make the world different when we enter it and leave it better than we leave it. I think that's a good feeling I have today when we talk about rule of law in so many expansive ways. And I can probably keep talking about my late, very fond recollections of both of them, but I think not for today, probably when I have a little more time to reflect on how not only rule of law in the sense of lawyers contributing rule of law, but as contributing the national understanding of democracy and rule of law, that I think is more important for us. The legal fraternity will have to probably keep thinking about it, and as in every occasion arises. And I'm so glad to be here today. I feel very warm, and I'm sure if I were to speak a little more, I may have a lot of tears coming to our eyes, recollecting many of the wonderful experiences I have, both of them. Thank you for this evening so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Vikas Singh, Senior Advocate and President SCBA, to kindly address this August gathering.
Honorable the Chief Justice of India, the learned Attorney General for India, learned judges of this court, both present and past, Rahul Kaushik, Pragya Baghel, our Vice President and Secretary. It's my pleasure to also welcome Justice B.N. Agarwal, our retired judge of this court here today. Mr. Gopal Subramaniam is here today. Justice S.N. Jha from Patna High Court is here today, and he has also very fond memories of briefing Shri NARAYAN SINHA. This occasion, the thought of this occasion actually arose in a casual discussion between me and Jayant about a month back, when he mentioned that he wanted a portrait of his father to be unveiled on the 11th of this month, which is today. And it is then only that I remembered that in my earlier executive committee, earlier term as president of the bar, we had passed a resolution to have a portrait of Shri NARAYAN SINHA also, but somehow that portrait unveiling had not happened. So I thought, why not do both the portraits together? So the first step was to find a nice place in the library, and with Rahul, Vinesh, Pragya, and Jayant, we went into the library. We identified a very prominent spot for both of them. So that done, the event was to happen on the 11th in the library itself. But then I felt that this is not an ordinary day in the history of Supreme Court. This is a day where we are actually remembering two giants of our profession, people who have walked the corridors of Supreme Court with respect, with a lot of, intellectual ability, with who have set precedents, who have argued matters of such moment that what Supreme Court we see today, or what the judgments of the Supreme Court most of us rely today, are probably developed by the jurisprudence that these two great gentlemen have evolved over a period of time when they were here in this court. I requested the Honorable Chief Justice of India that instead of doing a normal unveiling, I'd like to do a ceremony for this, and I'm so grateful to the learned Chief Justice for immediately agreeing for this function. In fact, Justice Suryakant had also agreed to come for this function, but unfortunately he realized that he has called the High Commissioner today at the same time, and so last minute he had to back out. There is a surprise for all of you today. The card mentions that there is a virtual of Justice Mr. Parasaran, the former Attorney General, but we also have Justice Venkat, former Chief Justice of India, Justice Venkat Chalaya. He is also volunteered. I requested him, and he has sent also a small video talking about both of them. And very soon we'll have the address on the screen. As far as my association with the two of them is concerned, I'll start with NARAYAN SINHA ji. I did not have much of an occasion to brief him, because by the time I came into practice, he had already retired from active practice. He had actually, he was living in Delhi. He was advisor to the Government of India after demitting office as the Attorney General for India. And he was living in Delhi. I remember his house, it was 34 Aurangzeb Road, and I used to meet him there once in a while. The memories that I have with him, I think are very, very instructive, and I think it will be a lesson for the younger lawyers, especially these young children who have come from Amity, because I requested that these children also should know, because the first question which everybody asks when they get into law is how to start into the legal profession. So when I was about to, I was in service and I was about to resign, I thought of resigning, and I met Lal Babu before actually resigning. And I said, and by this time I'd already spent about 9 years selling steel away from law. So I said, and I was talking to him in Hindi, and I'll do it like that. So I said, sir, hum sochte hain wakalat karna chahte hain, naukri chhod ke aana chahte hain. And he had I don't know, people, my guru is here, Mr. L.R. Singh is here, he will recall, a lot of people, Mr. Gopal Subramaniam will also recall. He had this habit of doing this in conferences. So he thought for a while, he said, nahi, aiye, zarur aiye, bahut acha aiye. तो मैंने कहा कि हजूर लेकिन यहाँ तो भीड़ बहुत है इस प्रोफेशन में, और हम तो 9 साल से लोहा बेच रहे हैं, इस प्रोफेशन में हम चल पाएंगे, अपना बना पाएंगे, जगह बना पाएंगे? तो ही केप्ट डूइंग दिस एंड अ लिटिल व्हाइल ही सेड, भीड़ नीचे है, ऊपर खाली है. सो दैट वाज अ वेरी, आई थॉट, अ amazing line to motivate me to come into this profession. And I always remember this line. I tell this wherever I go to meet young students or talk to young students, that this is when you come into this profession, you should come with this vision that you have to go to the top. That is number one. 2, 3 other things which he taught me and which I always remembered was कि अपने क्लाइंट को सीनियर का घर का रास्ता आप नहीं दिखाइएगा. क्लाइंट बोलेगा तो दिखाइएगा, नहीं तो आप खुद बहस कीजिएगा. That is the second lesson he gave me. The third lesson he gave me was that the moment you start practice, even if you can't afford an office of your own, try to create a small place in your house, make it as your office, have a table, sit on that table. If you can have a chair on the other side, once in a while try and meet clients also there. Because he says that feeling of starting as a lawyer is accentuated by having an office of your own and sitting in your own office. And when I say this, I obviously mean for people who want to get into practice, independent practice, and not think of jobs for long terms. And the other lesson that he gave me, which I can never forget, is that if you feel in a particular matter, you have a very strong point, and you feel that the other side, as per the pleadings, have no answer to that point, then don't argue your weak point, because you will dilute the efficacy of your strong point by arguing a weak point. So I think these were 3 very, very important lessons which Lal Babu gave me even before I started in this profession, and I've tried to emulate them to the maximum. In fact, a lot of lawyers tell me when I tell this, but sometimes judges को तो weak वाला ही point समझ में आता है, तो क्यों हम लोग छोड़े? हमने कहा नहीं, you are right in that way. I don't want you to give up completely, but at the same time, you must emphasize that this is the point which I feel has no answer. Lal Babu had while he was alive, he had written a book on the Indian Constitution. Not many people know that. And he had given it to me for getting it published. And before it could be published, he had died. So I got it published after his death. And I remember Justice J.S. Verma had come for the launch of that book in the Taj Mahal Hotel. It's a small book on Constitution. Of course, it's difficult to get, unfortunately. Lal Babu it's an amazing book if you can get your hands on it. But it's a very insightful book as far as, it's like reading a survey, in a small survey, a pocket survey on the Constitution. His ideas were so reflective. I also had a family terms with him, and that is how probably I knew him so well, and that is how I continued this relationship. And I'm so happy, and it's feeling so elated that I've been able to do this unveiling in this fashion. Mr. Shanti Bhushan, of course, I had a lot of occasion to brief. I must have briefed him in so many matters, and I must tell you about Mr. Shanti Bhushan. Mr. Shanti Bhushan was very thorough with the brief. I have not seen any senior in my life as thorough with the brief as Mr. Shanti Bhushan. He would read page to page, and he would, because he felt sometimes there may be something in a page which the junior may not be knowing, which is important for the case, and accordingly he didn't want to miss any page in the brief. So he was that thorough. He brought in a lot of integrity in the profession. He would take up, in a briefing with him, the most difficult task was to convince him. And convincing him was winning half the battle. Because we used to literally, have a lot of arguments on a proposition or on a point of law or on a factual scenario where he would agree or not agree. And unless he was convinced about the matter, he would not take up the brief. He would also, and that is one lesson, of course, I don't think youngsters should say that, he would get a little more involved in the brief. He would, I tell my juniors and all my, even my sons, that you should be a little detached also. As long as you're inside the court, you should be attached, but the moment you come out of court, you should be detached. He probably, I felt sometimes he used to keep that attachment even later. He used to feel about the client even afterwards. I did a very important matter on pollution with him. It was an environment pollution matter in Indian enviro legal matter. There was my client, he had been punished for having polluted the environment. And he had been able to convince Mr. Shanti Bhushan and also me that he had not done any such activity, and it was all for some reason. Justice Venkat Chalia was about to pass some very strong orders against the Pollution Control Board, and as a retaliation, they had fabricated this report which was filed. Mr. Shanti Bhushan went to go to the village SHRI, I remember, in Rajasthan near Udaipur, and he went to the village to see for himself what is the actual situation there. And the wells which were claimed to be polluted, he asked the villagers that, "Aap log iska pani peete hain?" Bole, "Haan, hum log to roz peete hain." Then he drank that water. I mean, that's the commitment of the man. You know, he had that commitment for his client, that he actually drank that water, and he, of course, ultimately could not succeed. Of course, that's a different story altogether. But that's the kind of, I would like to give a lesson to everybody, that these are people who have walked the, streets of the corridors of the Supreme Court and left such a imprint that very few people can be able to fit in those shoes. Narayan Sinha was a man of very few words. He used to be very soft-spoken. Shanti Bhushan was very aggressive, two very different individuals in their style of argument. I remember Mr. Parasaran, when we were flying to Patna at the cremation of Lal Narayan Sinha ji, Parasaran sir was sitting next to me, and he said that actually when I was Attorney General after Lal Babu, and if there was any difficult matter, I used to go to Lal Babu to consult him. So that's the kind of respect he had for late Shri Lal Narayan Sinha. So I am extremely privileged to do this function today. And now I'll request Pragya to start the two reels of the two speakers that we have for today.
Thank you, sir. Our keynote speaker, respected Shri K. Parasaran, senior advocate and former Attorney General for India, who has given us a recording video clip. We'll just request somebody to play the video clip, please.
Of the Bar Association to have the portraits of two very eminent lawyers who practiced in this honorable court. The one is Sri Lal Narayan Sinha, affectionately used to be called as Lal Babu, and the other Mr. Shanti Bhushan. They were one of the outstanding lawyers in this honorable court. I shifted to Delhi in 1980 as Solicitor General. The first thing I did was to call on Mr. Lal Narayan Sinha, as he was then the Attorney General, and take his blessings. His knowledge of law was so profound, it was a pleasure to meet him. We used to talk generally only about law and not any gossip. He was very knowledgeable in civil law and jurisprudence, and an all-rounder who can handle any branch of law with ease. His advocacy was remarkable. His knowledge of law and his subtlety were unrivaled. When a judge put question, he would never take time to think about it and answer. He would readily start answering the questions. That was his preparation. Every line of the brief he would have read. In fact, before we always go to him for conference, he would have already read the entire brief, so that the conference before him used to be very brief and not long-winded. Then he will discuss, and then I will decide to also include the submission or reject it. This is Mr. Lal Narayan Sinha. And he has argued so many cases and developed constitutional law. He is one of those lawyers who has contributed to the development of constitutional law. He believed that he was generally arguing only for Union India or state governments. He believed that his work was to argue for the client for whom he was appearing, and it is for the court to take any view in the matter. Therefore, he very zealously defended the Union of India. And when I became the Attorney General, Justice Kailasam told me I should follow the measure adopted by Mr. Narayan SINHA. He told me that when the judge puts an aspect or question against his submission, he will not confront the court with or starting arguing to convince him. He was not in approval, yes my lord, yes my lord, and then start arguing, continuing his case or arguments. By another 10 minutes, he would have made 4 or 5 points, and judges very often used to turn and go back on the views expressed by him and accept his submissions. This was his measure of persuasion, and he was very persuasive lawyer. I have never seen him losing his cool in court. He had also a sense of humor, and in my conversations with him, I have heard a lot of humorous anecdotes. I will only give one example. He told me that a lawyer was arguing a second appeal in the Patna High Court before a single judge, just a second appeal. At that time, somebody from behind was frequently disturbing the lawyer and whispering some point in his ear. The judge asked Mr. Sinha, Mr. Sinha, who is that person who is going to frequently disturbing your arguments? I asked him to keep quiet. Then the lawyer said, my lord, it is he whom the court below have held was heard of by persons who regularly used to see him or move with him, and then therefore, under the relevant provisions of the Evidence Act, he is presumed to be dead. The entire court went to the after, when the lawyer is sitting there, went to the after. The judge coolly remarked, Mr. Counsel, is a finding on a question of fact which is binding on me. And there was a more loud laughter when the judge said it. Like this, he used to give a lot of anecdotes, very interesting. He was a lawyer for a model to be followed. He was a role model to be followed, particularly for those who are government counsel. And my association with him, when he was Attorney Solicitor, is unforgettable. After he saw me arguing Maulana's case and the first judge's case and a few other cases, he told me, thereafter, I will go whatever was appeared in all cases, I will come and argue, in those cases in which I appeared, I will come and argue a few points and leave some points to you. This is how we worked. For instance, in the first judge's case, S.V. Gupta's case, he told me that he won't like to argue the case of transfer of Chief Justice Gavai Singh to Madras High Court, but that he only argued the points relating to dropping of additional judges. And the transfer cases had to be argued by me. Similarly, he asked me to argue the question of privilege, claiming privilege and disclosure of certain documents. I argued that point, but by 6-1, my submissions were rejected. The judges said that they would not look into the papers of Justice Vora and Justice M.M. Ismail, who were transferring judges. One was a transferring judge, the Chief Justice of Madras, Mr. M.M. Ismail, and Vora was an transferring judge in the Delhi High Court. One of the judges expressly, I told the court, as my own personal view, that Chief Justice Ismail should never have been transferred. He was one of the most brilliant judges of the Madras High Court, known for his integrity, and profound knowledge of law, and yet he was an authority on Kambaramanam, the Tamil version of Ramayana, which was written by the Tamil author Kambam. That is his scholarship. This is how we used to interact in our cases also. On the anecdote, but in which Mr. Lal Babu and myself were involved. There was a matter in which the government interest and one of the parties in the case interests were almost identical. It was challenged by some other contestant. There, Mr. Lal Babu had given opinion. The law minister called me and asked me whether I can give an opinion in the matter because there is already an opinion of the attorney general. I said, once he has given opinion, I have no jurisdiction to give opinion. As he put the opinion of Lord Babu on the table and he was talking to me, I saw clearly his name as one of the parties whose interest was identical with the court, with the government. I said, since the opinion given to a party, the government have no other lawyer to consult except the Solicitor General. If they want to consult only the law offices. Then I was asked for my opinion. I had said, please don't send the opinion of Lal Babu so that I can give my own independent opinion. Then I gave my opinion. There was a conflict between both opinions. The Lal and SINHA sent the papers to Mr. Lal Babu with a note. Solicitor General has given opinion conflicting with that of your opinion for comments. Mr. Lal and SINHA was a remarkable person. He wrote a wonderful note. He said, Mr. Solicitor General is a careful counsel. His views are entitled to respect. We should not go to the question as to whether my opinion is right or his opinion is right. Therefore, I suggest the following amendments to the government order, which will take care of all the infirmities in the government order which has been pointed out by him. He accordingly advised the government to amend the GO and which got certain matters. What was amended, and I defended the said decision of the government on the basis of the amended GO. And though we lost in the High Court, we succeeded in the Supreme Court. Very happy that I got the occasion to pay my own tribute to the Honorable Mr. Lal Babu, one of the most outstanding lawyers of this country and country. I am equally happy to speak a few words about Mr. Shanti Bhushan. He was one of the lawyers whose articulation was very effective. While Narayan SINHA was soft and persuasive, Mr. Shanti Bhushan would be sometimes mildly aggressive. He was also one of the lawyers who would be thorough with his brief. He will, in the conference, read the entire brief with the juniors who come to instruct him. Unlike Narayan SINHA, who had already read it. Mr. Bhushan also, Mr. Shanti Bhushan also might have read it, but he would also like to again read the whole thing, so that anything which he has missed, he can again go over through it and get some doubts cleared by the juniors. He was also one of the lawyers who was thorough with his brief and knew every line in his brief. He was one of the lawyers who would only choose one or two, a few points to argue. He will argue all points which could be argued in the case in favor of the party. Well, Narayan SINHA was almost affecting all the cases in which he was defending the government. Mr. Shanti Bhushan was affecting most of the cases in which he was attacking the government's order or the constitutionality of an act. This was the contrast between the two. And that he was one of the most brilliant lawyers with profound knowledge of law, and his articulation was so good, was known to me not only by myself, by seeing him in court, but it had the authenticity of one of the sitting judges talking to him about Shanti Bhushan. Justice A. Alagiri of the Madras High Court was in the Supreme Court and judge for 3 years. Even when he was a sitting judge, had occasion to meet him at his residence. I asked him as to who, in his opinion, is arguing very well or good advocacy in the Supreme Court. He said, I would normally not mention any particular name because I may be mistaken as making delineated distinction between seniors. There are several seniors in the Supreme Court. But as far as he is concerned, he was very much impressed by Mr. Shanti Bhushan. I think, if my memory is correct, which is a fading memory, it was, I think, about a document which was known as some blue document or something, as to which, as a result, it was disclosed, it was a document for the pluralistic claimed or should be disclosed. Mr. Alagiri told me he argued brilliantly well. And he was a lawyer who will also fight a case. Both Lala and SINHA and Shanti Bhushan were fearless lawyers. In the case of Lala and SINHA, it will be latent. In the case of Shanti Bhushan, it will be patent. Yes, I appeared in one of the cases in the Bhushan High Court in a batch of writ petitions in which Shanti Bhushan also appeared. That was after he ceased to be the Attorney General. We were appearing for a private party. First, Mr. Shanti Bhushan argued the matter. He was far senior to me in the profession. I argued a second lawyer. I found he has almost covered the entire law and then only a few aspects were left for me. This was the terms of his preparation. And the cases which I argued by him have been very important cases, particularly in the constitutional law. He was also one of the lawyers who has contributed a lot to the development of constitution in those cases. Not only that, he was also an active member, of our president of an association which used to express its own views about the appointment of judges or the views expressed by a judge. Of course, not crossing the Lakshman Rekha, but within the limits of the Lakshman Rekha, he used to be boldly express things. He will not be afraid of expressing his views on that of the association of which he was a president or chairman or a member. He was also held in high respect in the legal circle for his profound knowledge of law and his articulation in court. The number of cases he has appeared are plenty, and the law reports will make you know as to how he has handled the cases, because there are so many cases in which he has argued so ably. I am happy that, and along with Lala and SINHA or Lal Babu, the portrait of Mr. Shanti Bhushan is also being unveiled. I congratulate the association on the decision to have the portraits of these two eminent lawyers unveiled in the Bar Association. It is good such an unveiling of good lawyers are being made, so that for the younger generation of lawyers, it will be an inspiration for them. Because when they see the portrait, they will ask other seniors who would have knowledge about them, about those lawyers. And when they come across also the cases reported in the journals which they have appeared, they will know what type of advocacy there was, how he has put his arguments, and they will also learn as to how they should present their arguments. I have also visited him twice in his house, which were all not for any case I received, but formally to pay my respect to him. On the first occasion, when I went to his house, I put a shawl over his shoulders and bowed down and took his blessings. With such lawyers like Lal SINHA and Mr. Shanti Bhushan have to be greatly remembered, and it's most appropriate that their portraits are being unveiled today. In the case of both of them, they have left a legacy in their family. Mr. Narayan Sinha's son, Mr. Justice SHRI of the Patna High Court, became Judge of Supreme Court and became the Chief Justice for a short period. His son PARASARAN has now become a Judge of the Patna High Court. Shanti Bhushan also has left a legacy. He has got two sons practicing in the Supreme Court. All of us know both of them. Prasad is of a different type, and this younger son of Shanti Bhushan is of a different type. Prasad has deliberately chosen not to apply as to become a senior advocate. I don't know whether he has now become, I am not a verified. I am out to touch first after the COVID for 3 or 4 years. But he so chose because he wanted to take care of the case, both with regard to filing preparation and also to argue. His second son is also a very sound lawyer and is very persuasive. He has also a legacy. I am sure legacy of such eminent lawyers will be perpetuated by sons in the profession. I thank you all very much for this opportunity.
I request now to play another video clip of Honorable Mr. Justice N. M. Venkatachalaya, former Chief Justice of India.
The Supreme Court Bar Association is celebrating the legacy of two of its eminent members, Lord Narayan Sinha and Shanti Bhushan. Their portraits are being unveiled in the presence of the Supreme Court of India. In the distinguished chronicles of India's constitutional and legal history, the names of Sri Lal Narayan Sinha and Sri Shanti Bhushan occupy a place of rare eminence. As Attorney General of India, Lal Babu, as he was affectionately called, served at a time when the nation's democratic institutions were tested by turbulence and transformation. With a mind honed by scholarship and skill and a temperament anchored in tradition, he brought to bear a sense of solemn duty to interpret the fundamental law of the land as a living promise of justice and dignity. His advocacy was distinguished by firmness and conviction. His submissions before the Supreme Court reflected both intellectual vigor and clarity. Through the tempests that marked India's constitutional evolution, he remained a steadfast jurist who upheld the supremacy of the law over expediency, of principle over pressure. As the constitutional advisor to the government, he brought in a great sense of firmness. Lal Narayan Sinha's life was a testament to the timeless virtues of dignity and public service. His contributions continue to illuminate the path for future generations of lawyers, reminding us that the law, when served with conscience and courage, becomes not only an instrument of governance but also a guardian of liberty. He appeared in some great cases such as the Keshavananda, Golaknath, Keshav Singh, and Minerva Mills. He was offered judgeship of the High Court in 1949, which he declined. In 1948, Chief Justice S.R. Das invited him to join the Supreme Court, which also he declined. Sri Shanti Bhushan's life and legacy stand as a resounding tribute to the moral force of law in a constitutional democracy. He was born in November 11, 1925. As a distinguished jurist, parliamentarian, and Indian law minister, he embodied the spirit of fearless advocacy and unwavering integrity. His tenure in public life coincided with some of the most defining constitutional moments from the restoration of democracy after the emergency, to strengthening of judicial independence and accountability. It is said that he was among the very first lawyers to invoke Article 226 soon after the advent of the Constitution. Shanti Bhushan became the Advocate General of UP at the age of 43. His great case was the famous election case of NARAYAN. A full court reference of the Supreme Court held on 24th of August 2023 paid tribute to Shanti Bhushan. In it, the Chief Justice Dhananjay Chandrachud said, "Our constitutional legacy is dotted with events Mr. Shanti Bhushan helped create or shape." He highlighted Shanti Bhushan's role in the landmark election case. Ladies and gentlemen, endowed with an incisive intellect and an unflinching sense of justice, Shanti Bhushan approached the law not as a profession but as a living, lifelong calling. His arguments before the courts were marked by clarity of thought and moral purpose, while his reformist zeal extended beyond the courtroom to the realm of constitutional and civic responsibility and values of liberty and rule of law. On this historic, memorable occasion, even as we celebrate these legal legends, we should pause to reflect upon the state of our preparedness to confront the global change confronting every human endeavor and every human institution. That twilight merges into darkness without our notice is a metaphor, and a metaphoric caution to lawyers and judicial systems. Once again, as they did in the freedom movement, legal community and fraternity must take the initiative to reinvent and reinvigorate the judicial system, to resonate the frail faith that justice is the greatest interest of man and earth. I convey a very good wish for the success of this sensitive occasion. I thank President Mr. Vikas Singh for the kindness of this invitation to me. Thank you.
Now I request Honorable Mr. Justice Bhushan Ramkrishna Gavai, Chief Justice of India, to kindly address this august gathering.
My esteemed colleagues, Justice Vishwanathan and Justice Prasanna Varade, Honorable Justice B.N. Agrawal, the Learned Attorney General for India, Shri R. Venkatramani, the President of the SCBA, Shri Vikas Singh, the Vice President Rahul Kaushik, Secretary Pragna Baghel, the eminent speakers who are with us online, Shri PARASARAN and Justice Venkat Chalaya, Shri Gopal Subramaniam, Shri Raja Thakre, the Additional Solicitor General, the members of the Executive Committee of the SCBA, Shri Prashant Bhushan and Shri Jayant Bhushan, who carry forward the legacy of their illustrious father, and friends. A very good evening to all the distinguished guests, esteemed members of the bar, and friends gathered here. It's an honor and privilege to unveil today the portraits of two towering personalities of our legal profession, late Shri Narayan SINHA and late Shri Shanti Bhushan. During the early years of my practice, I often heard their names spoken with great admiration and read their submissions with deep respect. Their extraordinary talent, discipline, and dedication to the law were a source of inspiration. All of us who have followed the journey would agree that they set a standard of excellence that continues to guide generations of lawyers. Shri Lal Narayan SINHA and Shri Shanti Bhushan were not only lawyers of exceptional brilliance, but also citizens whose pledge to the Constitution of India defined their very lives. Their careers embodied the highest ideals of professional excellence, moral courage, and public service. They stand as reminders that the true measure of a lawyer lies not merely in a legal skill, but in the defense of a justice, the preservation of constitutional values, and the protection of democracy, even in the most testing of times. Sri NARAYAN SINHA was an eminent jurist and a respected luminary of the legal profession. He served with distinction as the Solicitor General of India and later as the Attorney General of India. Throughout his distinguished career, he represented the Government of India in numerous landmark cases before the Supreme Court, earning widespread repute and acclaim for his mastery of constitutional and administrative law. His advocacy in landmark constitutional cases such as Golaknath and Keshavanand Bharati helped shape the very soul of our Constitution. His foresight and preparation were legendary. He anticipated the constitutional debates that would define the basic structure doctrine, a doctrine that today stands as a bedrock of our constitutional democracy. Sri Sinha's legal career reflected both brilliance as well as conviction towards right-oriented advocacy. In Husainara Khatun, his principal arguments gave new meaning to Article 21 by affirming the right to a speedy trial as a fundamental right. In him, intellect and empathy met seamlessly. He could defend the sovereignty of the state and yet stand as a voice for the most vulnerable. After his distinguished tenure as Attorney General from India, he once again turned his attention to institution building, serving again as the President of the Bar Association of India from 1983 to 85. His career is full of such instances that reflect his commitment to nurturing and fortifying the institutions that uphold the rule of law. Though I did not have an occasion to personally meet him, I was just informed by our President Sri Vikas Singh about his persuasive skills. In the celebrated case of Tulshiram Patel versus the Union of India, I was told that the Constitution bench was against the Government of India. However, he had not argued the main matter. The matter was kept for certain clarifications, and then he took over the matter and he could convince 4 of the 5 judges to agree in support of his proposition, and there was only one dissenting judgment. Sri NARAYAN SINHA was also a mentor and guide to generations of lawyers, exemplifying how the practice of law can be a noble instrument of public service, always guided by principles and animated by the pursuit of greater good over personal gain. Late Sri Shanti Bhushan was a distinguished statesman of the bar, a lawyer whose courage, vision, and integrity shaped the course of modern Indian jurisprudence and strengthened the foundations of our democracy. As a Law Minister of India from 1977 to 1979, he played a crucial role in restoring democratic values after the emergency and later institutionalized the movement for public interest litigation by co-founding the Center for Public Interest Litigation. Throughout his distinguished career, he appeared in numerous high-profile and challenging cases encompassing constitutional law, administrative law, elections, and matters central to freedom, dignity, and the public interest. Each of these cases are witness to his fearless pursuit of justice, enduring dedication to the Constitution, and deep expertise in public and constitutional law. His work exemplified the highest ideals of the legal profession. His fearless advocacy reached its zenith during the historic contest of Indira Gandhi Nehru versus Raj Narayan. Standing against the might of executive power, he argued that Parliament's amending power could not destroy the basic structure of the Constitution, preserving forward the principles of judicial review and free and fair elections as the heart of our republic. His contribution, therefore, in developing the doctrine of basic structure is remarkable. Every cause he exposed bore testimony to his faith in constitutionalism and his belief that the practice of law is a responsibility to uphold the values on which our democracy rests. His life demonstrated that law, at its finest, is the moral endeavor in service of justice and liberty. As a junior lawyer, I had an occasion to witness the brilliant arguments advanced by the Shanti Bhushan when I was a junior lawyer at Mumbai. I was always impressed with his brilliant argument and persuasive skills. As a judge of this court, I had an occasion to hear him during COVID online and in an unpleasant case. The presence of their portraits within the Supreme Court serves as a living testament to the highest ideals of our profession. They are mirrors of our constitutional conscience. They remind us that the rule of law depends on the vigilance and moral courage of those who uphold it. For generations to come, these portraits will inspire all who enter these halls, young lawyers, judges, and citizens alike, to uphold the Constitution, defend the rights of the people, and remain unshakable in moments of crisis. These portraits shall remind us that true distinction is earned through a lifetime devoted to justice, ethics, and the fearless pursuit of truth. The values embodied by Sri Narayan Sinha and Sri Shanti Bhushan will continue to show the path for those who follow. As we unveil those portraits today, let us recommit ourselves to upholding their legacy, embodying their dedication, courage, and the integrity they so fearlessly exemplified. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Shri Vikas Singh, the President of the Bar Association, in thoughtfully arranging this unveiling on the 100th birthday of Shri Shanti Bhushan ji. As a matter of fact, about a month back, when I had met Jayant at one of the functions, he had invited me to the lecture in memory of Shanti Bhushan to be delivered by Mr. Rohington Nariman on 19th. So I had expressed my inability because those days would be somewhat busier days for me. But he had asked me whether I would come over in a lunch recess and unveil the portrait of Mr. Shanti Bhushan, and I had immediately said yes to him. Thereafter, I was waiting when do I receive an invite. Coincidentally, only 3 or 4 days back, Mr. Vikas Singh rang me, and I'm really grateful to the President of the Bar Association, SCBA, the Bar Association, for giving me an opportunity to unveil the portraits of these two legends before I leave this institution. I'm also grateful to all those, to Mr. Jayant Bhushan as well as Mr. Satyanarayan, the Satyanarayan Singh, his grandson, Justice Parth Singh, who have donated these portraits to the association. I'm sure that the memory and legacy of these two great legal minds continue to inspire and guide all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Manish Dubey, Joint Secretary at SCBA, to give vote of thanks.
Thanks, Pragya. Honorable Mr. Justice B.R. Gavai, Chief Justice of India. Honorable Mr. Justice K.V. Viswanathan, Judge Supreme Court of India. Honorable Mr. Justice P.B. Barale, Judge Supreme Court of India. Honorable Mr. Justice B.N. Agarwal, former Judge Supreme Court of India. Sri R. Venkat Ramani, Attorney General for India. Honorable Mr. Justice M.N. Venkat Chalaya, former Chief Justice of India. Sri K. Parasaran, former Attorney General for India, members of the Bar. It is both an honor and a solemn duty to rise today to offer a vote of thanks on this occasion where we have gathered to pay tribute to two towering figures of our legal fraternity, late Sri Narayan Sinha and late Sri Shanti Bhushan. These stalwarts were more than just eminent lawyers. They were institutions in themselves. Sri Narayan Sinha, with his sharp intellect and unwavering dedication, served the nation with excellence, leaving behind a legacy of integrity and wisdom that continues to guide us. Sri Shanti Bhushan, through his fearless advocacy and lifelong commitment to constitutional values, reminded us that the law is not merely a profession, but a noble service to society. Their lives were shining example of courage, honesty, and devotion to justice. Let us remember that every case they argued, every principle they defended, and every word they spoke in the cause of justice was not just for their time, but for us and for the generations yet to come. Their legacy is not confined to books or judgment. It lives on in the conscience of the legal community and in the spirit of our democracy. As we conclude, let us resolve to carry forward the ideals of truth, fairness, and service to justice that Sri Narayan Sinha and Sri Shanti Bhushan stood for. That will be the most fitting tribute to them. We are deeply grateful to the Honorable Mr. Justice B.R. Gavai, Chief Justice of India, for gracing this solemn occasion with his presence. Your words today have not only honored their memory, but have also inspired us to carry forward their ideals with renewed commitment. We are deeply thankful to Honorable Mr. Justice K.V. Vishwanathan, Honorable Mr. Justice P.V. Barale, Judge Supreme Court of India, and Honorable Mr. Justice V.N. Agarwal, former Judge Supreme Court of India, for making this occasion even most special by their kind presence. I also express my sincere gratitude to Honorable Mr. Justice B.N. Venkatachalaya, former Chief Justice of India, and Sri K. Parasaran, former Attorney General for India, for their insightful lectures. I am thankful to all senior advocates, members of the bar who have joined us today, for your presence adds immense value to this occasion. I extend my sincere thanks to family members of late Sri Narayan Sinha and Mr. Prashant Bhushan, Mr. Jain Bhushan, Ms. Reena Bhushan, Mr. Pavan, Mr. Tushar, and Mr. Amatya Bhushan for joining us. I also thankful to Sri Vishnu Sharma, advocate, and his wife, who are close relative to Narayan Sinha, for joining us. I request to all EC members to come on dais for photograph. And I request to Justice K.V. Vishwanathan sir and Justice Barale sir and Agarwal sir come on dais. This photograph with the EC. Kindly join us for high tea on this floor only.
Please join us for high tea on the left side, sir. On the left side, the high tea. On the left side. Please join us from the left side. Just guide kar dena. All the advocates, please join us for the high tea on the left side.